Okay, let's unpack this a bit. Imagine grabbing your morning coffee
Right.
and paying with Bitcoin just as easily as tapping your phone.
Yeah.
Sounds kind of wild, doesn't it? But some really interesting news just dropped out of the Bitcoin 2025 conference in Vegas, suggesting this might become a reality, maybe much sooner than we think. And it could really shake up how businesses, handle their money.
Exactly. Yeah, this deep dive is all about a pretty significant announcement made May 27th, 2025. Block, but you probably remember them as Square.
Right, Square.
They're planning to directly integrate Bitcoin payments into their incredibly widespread Square payment system.
Wow, okay.
So we're going to explore what this actually means for, the folks running businesses, how this tech will work under the hood, and maybe what the bigger picture implications could be.
Right.
Our goal here is really to cut through the jargon and try to understand the core significance of this, looking straight at the conference announcements and, related statements.
Okay, so lay it on us then. What exactly did Block announce they're going to do?
So the central piece of news is Block's intention to, build Bitcoin payments right into their existing Square infrastructure.
Okay.
They've outlined a pretty interesting timeline, too. They're aiming to start rolling this out in the second half of 2025.
This year, okay.
Yeah, with the ambition of making it available to all eligible Square sellers by 2026.
Right.
Of course, like anything in this space, they've noted it depends on getting the necessary regulatory green lights. That's always a factor.
Sure. Yeah, the usual caveats.
But a really key aspect they emphasized is the choice it gives merchants. So when a customer pays with Bitcoin, the business owner gets to decide.
Decide what?
Well, they can either hold on to that Bitcoin, keep it as BTC, or have it automatically converted into traditional fiat currency.
Like dollars, euros.
Exactly. Dollars or euros in real time, instantly.
Okay. That sounds like a smart way to ease businesses into this, especially, those who might be a bit unsure about holding Bitcoin directly.
Precisely. It reduces that volatility risk if they want it to.
And I heard there was even a chance to see this in action at the conference.
There was, yeah. At Bitcoin 2025, Block actually demonstrated the feature live. They had it set up at the BTC Inc. merchandise store.
Oh, cool.
So people attending could actually see firsthand how the integration would function in a real everyday kind of transaction, buying a t-shirt or whatever.
Okay, so let's say I'm a business owner. I decide I want to start accepting Bitcoin through Square. What does that look like on my end? Do I need a bunch of new equipment?
Well, that's what's quite clever here. Block is planning to utilize the Square hardware that, many businesses already have.
Oh, okay. So no big investment needed there, potentially.
Potentially not, yeah. They likely won't need completely new systems. The magic behind this, the thing making it practical for buying coffee, is the Lightning Network.
Lightning. Okay, explain that briefly.
Right. So think of the Lightning Network as a sort of fast lane built on top of the main Bitcoin highway, the main blockchain. Essentially, it lets lots of smaller Bitcoin transactions happen off the main chain, kind of between users directly, only settling the net result on the main chain later.
Gotcha.
This reduces congestion, significantly lowers the fees, and crucially speeds up those confirmation times you sometimes hear about with traditional Bitcoin transactions.
Which makes it much more suitable for everyday buys.
Exactly. Quick, cheap transactions. It's also worth remembering Square wasn't entirely new to BTC. They already had a feature, right? Bitcoin conversions?
Oh, yeah, I remember that. Where they could convert sales into Bitcoin.
Exactly. Merchants could automatically convert their existing sales revenue into Bitcoin. This new development seems to be taking that a big step further by enabling direct acceptance of Bitcoin for payments.
Right. So businesses keep using their current Square setup, probably, and Lightning makes the Bitcoin transaction fast and keeps the cost down. Makes sense. Now, what about the person buying the product, the customer? How do they actually, pay with Bitcoin in this system?
For the customer, they're really aiming to make it as simple as possible.
Yeah.
The main method they've highlighted is just scanning a QR code, using their Bitcoin wallet on their phone, whichever Lightning-enabled wallet they prefer.
Okay, standard QR scan.
Yeah. And Square handles all the complex stuff happening in the background, interacting with the Lightning Network, confirming the payment.
So the customer doesn't need to worry about the tech details?
Not at all. The goal is a smooth experience. Customer just scans, approves the payment on their phone, and boom, the merchant sees that payment almost instantly.
Near instant settlement.
Okay. All the technical intricacies of Bitcoin and Lightning are essentially hidden. aiming for that same ease of use as, tapping a card or using Apple Pay.
Okay, it really sounds like Block is trying to remove a lot of the friction, the hurdles for both sides, businesses and consumers. But what's the core reason, do you think? What's the big why behind this push from Block?
Yeah, that brings us to a really important quote, actually. Block's Bitcoin product lead, Miles Suter, he put it quite well. He said, "This is about economic empowerment for merchants who like to have options when it comes to accepting payments."
Economic empowerment through options. Okay.
Yeah, it really emphasizes that idea of giving businesses more control, more flexibility in how they handle their transactions and maybe their finances overall.
Having options definitely sounds like a plus for businesses. Always good. And it seems like some are already seeing some real advantages, right? Tell us about Steak and Shake. That sounds like a big name getting involved.
Yeah, that was another pretty big reveal at the conference. Dan Edwards, he's the operating chief of Steak and Shake.
Okay.
He announced that Steak and Shake has already started accepting Bitcoin payments, not just testing it, accepting it at all of their locations around the world.
Wow, all of them. Since when?
Since May 16th, 2025. So just before the conference announcement, actually. They were already doing it.
Okay, so they're really jumping in. What are they seeing?
Well, this is the really interesting part. The numbers he shared were quite striking. They've seen, on average, roughly a 50% reduction in their payment processing fees.
50.
50%, yeah. When customers choose to pay with Bitcoin instead of using, traditional credit cards.
That is huge for any business, but especially restaurants.
Absolutely. And furthermore, they've actually found that Bitcoin transactions, presumably over Lightning, are happening faster than credit card transactions in their experience.
Faster, too, so cheaper and faster for them.
That's what they reported, yeah. This kind of saving, that 50% fee reduction, that could be a genuine game changer for businesses, especially those with thin margins.
Oh, definitely. You could reinvest that, maybe lower prices, or just have a better buffer.
Exactly. It also, makes you question the long-term sustainability of those traditional fee structures if alternatives like this become widespread.
Yeah, good point. Wow, okay, so what did Edwards himself, the Steak and Shake guy, say about all this, his overall take?
His statement was really positive, very bullish on it. He said, and I quote, "Bitcoin is a win for the customer, a win for us, the merchant, and a win for you in the Bitcoin community."
Win, win, win. Okay.
Yeah, it suggests they're seeing benefits across the board, saving money, maybe faster operations, and potentially attracting a whole new segment of customers who prefer using Bitcoin.
It definitely paints a pretty compelling picture, especially coming from a major chain like that.
Mm-hmm.
Now, you mentioned earlier, this isn't Block's sort of first step into Bitcoin, right?
Yeah.
It feels like this Square integration is part of a bigger strategy.
You're absolutely right. Yeah. If we connect the dots, Block has consistently shown a strong commitment to Bitcoin for a while now.
Right.
There was related news, you might have seen it, mentioning that Block is actively DCAing dollar cost averaging into Bitcoin every single month.
Oh, okay. So they're regularly buying Bitcoin for their own treasury.
Exactly. Dollar cost averaging, or DCA, it's that strategy where you invest a fixed amount of money at regular intervals, regardless of the price. It helps smooth out volatility.
Right.
The fact that Block is actively accumulating Bitcoin like this shows a pretty strong long-term belief in the asset itself.
That makes sense. It's not just facilitating. They're actually holding it, too.
Exactly. And you couple that with the enhancements they're making to their self-custody Bitcoin wallet, Bitkey.
Oh. Bitkey, that launched late last year.
Late 2023, yeah. They're adding new privacy and security features to it starting basically now, May 2025. And these features are designed to make it easier for people to manage their own Bitcoin without relying on those, traditional seed phrases, which can be kind of intimidating.
Right, trying to make self-custody more accessible.
Precisely.
Yeah.
So you put it all together, the DCA, the Bitkey improvements, and now this Square integration, it really suggests they are building out a more complete ecosystem.
An ecosystem where businesses can easily accept Bitcoin and individuals have better tools to actually hold and manage their own Bitcoin.
Exactly. It connects the dots between commerce and personal holding.
Okay. So wrapping things up a bit, we're looking at more options for businesses, potentially much lower fees, maybe faster transactions in some cases like Steak and Shake saw.
Yeah.
And Block itself really seems to be leaning into Bitcoin across its different products.
Yeah.
Are there any things to keep in mind here, potential challenges, important factors we haven't touched on?
Well, the regulatory aspect is key, like we mentioned. While the potential benefits are significant, it's crucial to remember that the full rollout, getting this to all eligible Square sellers by 2026, that's still contingent on getting the necessary regulatory approvals. You know how crypto regulation is still evolving. It varies place to place.
Right. That could definitely affect the timeline or how it works in certain countries.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And also, while that option for merchants to instantly convert Bitcoin to fiat is great for managing price risk,
Yeah.
well, those businesses that choose to hold the Bitcoin, they need to be aware of and comfortable with its inherent price volatility. Bitcoin's price can move, quite a bit.
Sure. That's the nature of holding the asset itself.
But the fact that Block is explicitly giving merchants that choice, hold or convert, that's a real strength, I think. It lets them decide what makes sense for their specific business, their risk tolerance.
Yeah, that flexibility seems core to their pitch.
Definitely. And the Steak and Shake example, it really highlights the potential bottom line impact of those lower fees. Plus, making it easier for consumers to pay with Bitcoin could genuinely open up new customer bases for these businesses.
So it's not just about saving money. It could be about attracting new people, too.
Could be. And beyond just avoiding volatility, a business might strategically want to hold some Bitcoin if they believe in its long-term potential, or if they want to signal alignment with that Bitcoin community Edwards mentioned.
Interesting. Okay, so just to recap the main points for everyone listening, we've got Block, a huge player in payments, integrating Bitcoin directly into Square.
Right.
This means businesses could accept Bitcoin, maybe using equipment they already have, leveraging the speed and low cost of the Lightning Network. Crucially, they get the choice. Keep the Bitcoin or instantly swap it for regular money.
Yep, real-time conversion option.
And we heard from Steak and Shake, who are already doing this globally and seeing some pretty impressive results like 50% lower fees and faster transactions.
Real-world validation, yeah.
And all this seems to fit snugly into Block's wider strategy of investing in and building out the Bitcoin ecosystem with things like Bitkey and their own DCA buying.
Precisely. I think the key takeaways are that increased flexibility for merchants, the real possibility of significant cost savings like Steak and Shake demonstrated, and just a general push towards making Bitcoin more accessible.
Accessible for businesses to accept and for consumers to, actually use day to day.
Exactly, lowering the barriers on both sides.
Yeah. This definitely feels like a potentially significant step, doesn't it? Towards Bitcoin maybe becoming a more, common way we pay for things.
It points in that direction, certainly.
So here's a final thought for you, the listener, to sort of mull over. Considering this move by Block and those really positive early results from Steak and Shake, how might this increasing adoption of alternative payments, like Bitcoin over Lightning, ultimately reshape the future of commerce? How we buy and sell things, and maybe what other unexpected benefits or perhaps challenges might pop up as these technologies become more woven into the fabric of our daily lives.
Yeah, what are the second and third order effects?
Exactly. Definitely something to keep thinking about as this space continues to evolve so quickly.